Welcome to the Leadership Genius Podcast, a resource for everything leadership in your pursuit of leadership excellence. I'm the host of the Leadership Genius Podcast, Jason Diamond Arnold. I'm also Director of Leadership Solutions at Inspire Software, the world's first leadership as a subscription development program that's built into a performance management and strategic execution platform. And that is the topic today, strategic leadership failures. And this is really around a conversation of the state of strategy execution in 2025. It's a research project that we have done at Inspire Software over the past year, and we wanted to bring our research to you, the public, those that are seeking to become better leaders. And this is an important topic for many organizations because it continues to be a place of struggle, is executing strategy effectively in your organization. And one of the reasons why we did this research is because we came across a couple of really alarming statistics that kind of instigated us to pursue more insight into how we encourage and how we help organizations execute strategy more effectively. And one of the key statistics is that 90% of strategies fail, not because the strategy is wrong, but because they are not executed effectively. And so you have this strategy that you put into place as an organization, and then the vast majority of executive leaders really wrestle with and struggle over the course of a year on how to execute, how to implement that strategy. And then the other alarming statistic came from a Harvard Business School Press book called Execution, the Discipline of Getting Things Done. And there was an alarming statistic in there that said 67% of executive turnover is directly tied to strategy failure. And you go, oh, well, duh. Like, if you're not good at executing your strategy, or if your strategy continually fails, you're not going to hold your position as an executive leader. So, yeah, a little bit of it is like a reality is that role as an executive leader is a very challenging one because you have the weight of the organization on your shoulders in many ways, even whether it's you as a CEO or your executive team and the responsibilities that you have either as a chief of staff or any level of executive leadership. But I think that right there in our research and what we found in the state of strategy execution in 2025, and I will put a link for you in the description of this podcast on how you can download that white paper and get more information on the things we're talking about. But the biggest idea that comes from our research is that strategic leadership isn't just for the C-suite. Yes, it's often implemented. The final decisions are made by the executive team, by the C-suite, and yet their job is on the line when that strategy fails. But one of the reasons why it fails so much is that it only stays at the C-suite. And so one of the main premises that we have gotten out of our research is that strategic leadership isn't just for executives. It's not just an executive job anymore, especially in the 21st century. Strategic leadership is an organizational responsibility, and you have to teach leaders at every level of the organization, and that includes self-leaders, individual contributors, to understand what the strategy is and how to execute, how to be strategic in their self-leadership, strategic in their managerial leadership, strategic in their team leadership. And I don't mean just strategy for the team. I mean strategy for the team that's aligned to the organization's strategic leadership. And so one of the biggest takeaways in our research is that strategy has to come off of Mount Olympus. It's got to come down into the organization, and it's got to get into the heart of the organization through the people. McKinsey talks about this a lot. McKinsey does a lot of research on this topic, And they are big proponents of people plus performance. And so the basic notion behind that is a company needs to align their people to the strategy through performance. And those organizations that do that outperform their competitors in their market almost by a rate of 5 times. They have 5 times higher profit. So what we did was at Inspire Software, we surveyed leaders across industries, multiple industries, geographies, locations, company sizes, hybrid, in office, traditional, modern. Uh, and then we used a 6-point scale and mapped out 12 responses to 4 key pillars that we identified in our own research to set up the survey. And the 4 pillars are AI assisted strategy, strategic performance, that is continuous performance management, strategic performance measurement, how do you analyze the performance towards strategy, and strategic data and visualization. And what that means is, like, what are the dashboards that you use that are in real time helping you understand how your strategy is performing and being executed. And so what we specifically discovered through our research that there were 3 core challenges to strategic leadership. And I want to emphasize again, this is an organization-wide problem. It's not just an executive issue. And that harkens back to the point that strategic leadership isn't just for the C-suite. It's an organizational challenge. And the number 1 core challenge we discovered is that AI isn't being used to drive strategy. It's being ignored. So what we mean by that is organizations may be starting to use and play with AI models to help them set strategy. But they're not using AI to help them execute the strategy, which ties into a consistent issue about execution of strategy. Our data showed that 74% of organizations lack the confidence in using AI to help them align their goals or OKRs. The second big thing that we discovered is that performance management is still stuck in the past. In fact, it blows my mind that executive leaders could set a strategy, and so many organizations that we analyze or that we talk to or that we even work with on occasions do not tie their strategy into performance. If you don't take strategy and turn them into corporate goals, team goals, business unit goals, department goals, even down to individual goals, then your strategy it's isolated from the rest of the organization. And in fact, people can interpret it in different ways in different departments, and you can create silos. 60% of the leaders that we surveyed don't believe their performance systems are aligned with the organization's strategy. Let me repeat that: 60%, over half of organizational leaders don't believe their performance systems are aligned with the strategy. Then the third big thing is leaders don't trust the data, and that's for good reason. A lot of times we're guessing with the data that we measure or the data that we're looking at. And again, I'm not knocking the quantitative numbers. Obviously, the bottom line is the bottom line, and it's the reality of the company. You have profits and losses, and you look at those, and it's going to be a key indicator on how your organization's doing. You're not going to stay in business if you're not thriving, if you're not hitting your financial numbers. That being said, that's not the only data that you need to be looking at. Obviously, you know this, but where is it? How do you create it? And in our survey in the state of strategy execution in 2025, is that only 29% of leaders trust their dashboards, their strategic dashboards, to make strategic decisions. And that's data across the entire organization. And it shouldn't be just financial data, it's people data. It's how do we discover what's happening related to the strategy and then make strategic decisions to adjust and adapt and to pivot based on what we're finding out from our data resources. So the strategic insight that we take away from this one is that there are still many siloed systems out there that people are using where you're using different data resources. You need to bring those into a platform, look at them across, do mixed methods in terms of what data you're looking at, and then that leads to understanding what's happening in your culture, what's happening in your strategy execution. What does the research tell us that the high performing organizations do differently? One of the biggest things that we got from our report is that high performing organizations are 3 times more likely to use an integrated strategy tool and then integrate feedback loops throughout the organization. What does that mean? That means that strategy is integrated to every level of the organization. Not only does everyone know it, everyone knows how their role and their goals that they're pursuing are aligned to or tied to the strategic execution of the organization. So it's no longer just lives in the C-suite, but everyone understands and knows how to be a strategic leader in their roles as individual contributors or team members, managers, team leaders, department leaders, unit leaders, executive leaders. We have a new ebook that is dropping here in September. It's called The 6 Steps to a Winning Strategy. I had the privilege to interview several strategy experts in the process, take some of the learnings that we got from the white paper and our research, but then put it into a larger document on saying, hey, here are the 6 steps to creating a winning strategy right now, or even as you're planning for the year. So we encourage you to download that ebook and give us your thoughts and feedback. Hopefully it can help give you some insights or some thoughts about how you're going to set strategy for next year. We encourage you, if you haven't done this yet, to take the strategy assessment based on the data that we got from 2025. We've revised our strategy assessment and we've aligned it to these 6 steps of a winning strategy. So we encourage you to take that assessment, see how you align to the 6 steps, and see how you compare to other organizations in terms of your strategy readiness and your ability to execute strategy. If you download the white paper and you get an assessment, we have a free coaching session with one of our strategy coaches. It's a complimentary coaching session to not only analyze the data of your results that you got in the paper, but to give you some ideas and just kind of coach you up in a complimentary way to prepare for you executing your strategy. I think it's a pretty cool offering with some very good thought leaders that could give you some additional insights into how you're setting your strategy for your upcoming year. And then finally, we have an upcoming webinar at the end of September. I'm going to put a link in the description here about how you can register for it. I mentioned that we've partnered with some thought leaders to create the white paper, that we're also strategically aligned with some of these thought leaders that help organizations and consult with them to set their strategy. And so that webinar is coming up on September 25th, 2025. It's at 10 a.m. Pacific. The basic premise of Leadership Genius is that the world needs more effective leaders. We need strategic leaders at every level of the organization and every level of society. You know, I hear it so much. I hear the chatter on social media. I hear the chatter in coffee shops and in classrooms, you know, about not being in control of things and feeling out of control. And while there's some level of truth to it, one of the things that we need to think of is that we need to embrace leadership wherever we're at. It's our responsibility to lead at a higher level, no matter what role we play, as an individual citizen, as an individual contributor, as a team leader, as a local leader, as a family leader. In whatever your role is, there are leadership practices that can help make the world a better place. And that's the basic premise of Leadership Genius. You have the power, you have the ability, you have the skill sets, the mindset to be a leadership genius and make the world a better place through your leadership. Thank you for joining this Leadership Genius podcast. Let us know how we can support you, help you, guide you, have a conversation with you. about making your organization a strategic leadership organization.